No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week this week. I'm out here on the back patio and I just wanted to show you this. I got this plant. It's a flowering plant from a friend a couple of seasons ago, and I grew it out, and then that winter it died back and I thought it was dead and gone. And again, it grew back last year. And then this last winter, same thing. I thought it was dead and gone. I mean, look at this. I mean, just brittle as all can be, but yet it blooms right back. This is a clematis and just puts out these really, really beautiful flowers. And this year it's really come back. I mean, look at all of these awesome flowers. You got some new ones getting ready to pop out here real soon. Just growing right up here. Really, really great. So, you know, you never know when some of these plants are actually dead or not. Sometimes you just got to give them a little bit more of a chance and they might just surprise you. All right, let's get growing. All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Get Growing, your weekly gardening live cast right here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'll be your host today. We've got a really great show for you today. We've got a returning guest coming up here just a little bit later. We're featuring Mike VanDuzee. He's been on the show before last season and does some really cool stuff with some do-it-yourself hydroponics and all of that. And it'll be great to talk to him about what's going on again this year. So look forward to talking to him a little bit later. And in just a few minutes too, we're also following Jessica from Dream to Seed. She'll be on here in just a few minutes as well too. So stay tuned to talk with all of our guests there for sure here, as well as if you're here joining with us right now at the top of the show, definitely click the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and share with all of your friends. Let them know about the Let's Get Growing show. And also one of the things we're talking about and pushing right now too is comments. If you're watching on the replay, or even if you're joining the show later or want to come back and watch it or anything like that, definitely get into the comment section. Leave a comment. Just let me know you're here. Let me know what you got growing on. Let me know if you've got any suggestions for the show or anything like that too. So definitely get into the comments right now. And again, thanks to all of you who are watching our replay right now too as well. That's one of the cool things about doing these live streams and everything, is we get to be here live. We get to have a cool, fun conversation with each other here live on the show. But it's also available after the show is over as a replay for everybody else to watch whenever they want to. So that's really awesome. And I really welcome all of you who are watching on the replay as well too. So if you are here and you have any questions or comments or anything like that, definitely get into the comment section there. Ask some questions. If you got any questions of our guests that are here too as well too, we'll try to keep an eye out for those questions as well too, and might just feature them on the show. So definitely jump in and leave some questions. And also real quick here too, down in the description below, there's a link to our Urban Gardener community, the Let's Get Growing Facebook group. It's a nice little gardening community group there on Facebook, kind of centered around, our community here and all of that as well. So it's a great place for you to go and share with me and everybody else all of the things that you've got growing on in your garden. And so definitely come and join the group and share with us some of the things that you've got growing on in your garden. And as well too, if you got any questions or anything like that as well too, you can ask those there in the group, and you might just get a nice friendly answer to something you might need to know about something you've got growing on in your garden. So awesome, definitely. And as well too, be sure to check out some of our other shows. We've had some really great guests here on the Let's Get Growing show. In fact, last week we had Destin Nowak of Texas Garden Guy was on the show with us last week. We had a great conversation. That was really fun. So definitely go back to check out last week's show as well too, with that great conversation, as well as meeting Ryan Cook from Heavenly Hills Homestead too. Ryan was a fun conversation. Both of those guys, veterans, and it was kind of a cool like Veterans Day on the show, I guess. And we had some really awesome conversations with those guys and getting to meet them and hear about all of the things they've got growing on and their garden story and all of that too. And as well, I also want to remind you too, we also do have a Sunday edition of the show at the same time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And it's another great show. Each week we kind of have a little bit of different things going on. This week on Sunday, we're going to have with us Scott Wilson from Gardener Scott. He joins us with us every second Sunday of the month to answer all of your garden questions and all of that. Gardener Scott is a wealth of knowledge, a master gardener, and has a really great gardening channel on YouTube, somewhere that I go all the time to find answers to things that I might be facing in the garden, or things I might be wanting to know about growing the things that I grow in my garden. So I've been following along with Gardener Scott for many years, and it's awesome to have him on the show with us every other Sunday or every second Sunday of the month to answer all of your garden questions. And as well too, last Sunday we had a really fun conversation with our friends Kang Starr and Christopher Bransdahl, a friend of mine from Norway. And these guys have some fun garden channels too, and do a lot of fun things with hydroponics. And they've just been really good friends of ours for several years now. We've gotten together before we even started this show. We used to get together to do live streams each year in spring and talk about the garden year and all that sort of stuff. So it was really great to get them both back together again on our show and have a fun conversation. Awesome. And one more thing I did want to remind you too is that we also have a monthly book of the month club that we do, where we feature a gardening book each month. And on the third Sunday of each month, on our Sunday edition, we have that author and their book on. And this month we are featuring Simplify Vegetable Gardening from Tony O'Neill at Simplify Gardening, and he'll be on with us to talk all about his book Simplify Vegetable Gardening. And Tony, another good friend of ours for many years, and just really great book. I've already got this book and been reading it and checking it out and getting ready for this month's book club. And it's so full of just some really awesome knowledge. And just like the title, and one of the things that Tony's really specializes in, and that's why his channel's called Simplify Gardening, is because he really simplifies things. He breaks it down. He makes it easy to understand. And that's one of the things I'm really getting from this book. A lot of great gardening and plant science knowledge, and really simplified for you to really understand really well. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. If you have it, if you don't have it, go out and get it if you need, if you don't have it. But definitely come and join with us on the third Sunday of the month this month for our Sunday edition. gardening monthly book club with Tony O'Neill this month. And another thing too is it's the one show on Let's Get Growing where I have a co-host, and that's my good friend Mark Rocher-Cobert, who does our Sunday edition in the garden segments where he gets in the garden and shares with us all of his fun gardening knowledge that he has. He's just such a great guy, really again, a wealth of knowledge in his own right. He teaches gardening to kids in a school up in Portland. He manages a rooftop garden up on this building that has a restaurant on the top floor, and they do this rooftop gardening where he grows everything and they use it in the restaurant down below. This guy does a lot of really fun stuff, and we're really honored to have him on our show to share with us here as well too. So definitely come and join with us there. That's gonna be really fun. And as well too, let's see here. I've got well, lots of things growing on because I was out walking around the garden here just before getting to start the show, and was just kind of like thinking about how busy I've been and working on a lot of stuff, and just kind of thinking like, man, I wish I had more growing on in some of my spaces. But then I was also looking around going, well, there's actually a lot happening right now in the garden. And one of the things that I'm really excited about as I was out there looking is that all throughout all of our garden spaces, throughout our alleyways, the back alleyway, up all the way to the front yard, the front alleyway, and all through the back patio space and all of that, we've got different patches of strawberries that grow all over the place, and they are finally they're huge this year. Plants are looking awesome, big, huge, green, awesome looking leaves, and I've been noticing that over the last couple of weeks. But today I was just noticing all the flowers. There's just tons of flowers all over these plants, and man, I'm just totally excited now too, because that's why they're everywhere. They're one of my favorite things that come out of the garden is the strawberries every year. And so there's tons of flowers, tons to look forward to coming up. So I'm really excited about that out there. Roses are just looking to popping this year. I've got so many roses coming off of some of the rose bushes. I was just out there smelling those too. That's one of the awesome things to do too. Wish everybody could smell some of those flowers and some of those things through the video and all of that to see and understand exactly what they're like. But yeah, the roses are awesome. Lots of flowers are growing on everywhere. We're actually right now in the process of hardening off a lot of things. Tomatoes are actually pretty much done, ready to go. I got to get them out, get them in the ground now. My last frost date isn't until still another 5 days or so. I'd say about 5 days, the 15th. So 4 days. So yeah, so still a few days away from the last frost day, but unlike last year where literally there was freezes that were happening so late in the year, we even had one that was right up to the last frost date last year. And so that was, I remember last year it was just I didn't know when to put them in the ground. And this year it's been warm. I could have put them in the ground actually a week or two ago, but I was still unsure. It's like you want to make sure. I don't really want to have to really have to worry about the plants in the ground when we deal with some of the, like I said, last year we had some late frosts that would have wiped them out if I put them out into the garden. So this year it's been warm. In fact, this week we just had yesterday 88 degrees, and then or no, that was the day before. Yesterday was almost mid 80s, and still it's just like pop, boom, flip a switch, and it's summertime in the middle of spring right now. And the forecast is just more and more just great sunny weather, low 80s, high 70s. And so it's, we're going to be planting. I'm going to be planting everything. It's time to get going with everything else too. I usually wait till this time because we want to get to direct sowing and all of that. So now that I know the forecast here going all the way out towards the end of the month is just looking great, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to start direct sowing. I'm going to start doing everything. So it's going to be gardening like crazy this week. So with lots and lots more to do, but we're getting to that point where, like, most things will be in the ground, most things will be growing, and we'll just be doing maintenance work and keeping up with everything versus trying to care for seedlings and small plants and trying to get them into the garden. So it's going to be getting to that point where we really get to kind of really enjoy some of the effort that we put in here in the earlier part of the season. So awesome. Here, let's see here. I want to catch up with everybody here on the show. Thanks you everybody for joining in with us today. It's great to have you all here. Right off the top of the bat, let's welcome in our moderator, the greatest moderator on YouTube. We got Jay Dixon with us here, joining us from Ontario, Canada. Jay is an awesome moderator in there, dropping links. So keep an eye out for links throughout the show and keeping the conversation going too. So thanks again for joining with us here. And looks like we've got Serena with us in here again. Awesome to see you, Serena. Thanks for joining with us. Michelle in the comments there. Looking sharp. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Good to look sharp. Yeah. Let's see here. David Gray joining with us in the comments as well too. Thanks for joining with us here. And looks like we've got Sam Posick with us. What's happening? Hello, Serena, David, and Jay, and hi, Enoch. Thank you so much for joining with us today. It's so awesome to have you all here. And as I was saying, we're going to have our guests on here in just a few minutes. Here we got Jessica from Dream to Seed, and she'll be here with us in just a couple of minutes. Let's see, we got Cal Chick 7. Hello from SoCal. Hello, thanks for joining with us. Big Will Dog in the house again. Awesome to see you. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for joining with us today. Good day, everyone. And John Jude in the house. And Linda says, you just popped up and love you are talking about plants. I can't grow flowering type plants, but my weeds flourish. I live in Scotland. Joining us from Scotland. Awesome. Thanks for joining the show. So my weeds are doing well. Yeah. Weeds will always do well, right? They're something we're always dealing with, always trying to battle back because they'll just keep growing and growing without any effort from us for sure. But yeah, awesome. So thanks for joining with us here today, Linda. Great to see you here. All right, let's see here. Oh, Scotland. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see here. Linda says, don't live in Scotland, South Carolina. What did I read something in there? Okay, yeah, all right. Don't live in Scotland, South Carolina. All right, there you go. South Carolina. Thank you for joining with us here. So awesome. We got some really great guests coming up here in the show, and be sure to stay tuned here. And we'll catch up with Jessica from Dream to Seed here in just one moment. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. One application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop here with this week's trivia question. Which of the following is not one of the founder crops? A, wheat, B, peas, C, flax, or D, corn? We'll be back with the answer a little later in the show.
All right, everybody. Now it's time to meet our very first guest.
Are you following me? Are you following me, dude?
All right. This week we're following Jessica from Dream to Seed. How are we doing, Jessica? Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here on your From Dream to Seed.
Well, my name is Jessica. I am a master gardener in zone just changed to 7A from 6B to 7A.
The ones that changed, huh?
Yes, I have been gardening for about 15 years. And my channels mainly focus on helping beginner gardeners, breaking down kind of those basics for just the everyday backyard gardeners.
Awesome. Yeah, I follow along and see all of your posts all the time. You put out such really great information. I really love it. And it's great now to have you on the show to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've got growing on there from Dream to Seed. So let's jump right into your garden story. So let's talk about a little bit about how you got started gardening. When did this, come about? Was this something that you did from when you were younger, or something that you caught on to a little bit later?
Well,
I know you said you've only been doing it 15 years.
Yeah, personally, I come from a family of, I would say, like backyard kitchen gardeners. So I would say it's definitely in my Midwest blood. My dad grew a lot of stuff growing up, so I always remember him having plants. I wasn't super involved. I would watch and things like that. But when I had children of my own, I figured if they grew their vegetables, they might be more inclined to eat them. So that's kind of how it got started. But it just became my passion and my hobby and kind of my escape. I got really into the science of growing, started reading a ton of books, doing a ton of research. And then in 2020, I became a master gardener through my local extension office. So I do a lot of volunteer work in the community. I teach gardening classes. I've taught gardening in local high schools. I help at community events. I'm on a seed saver committee, so we save seed for the community. And that's kind of the volunteer side. And then that same year in 2020, we had quite a big global event going on.
Right.
And I had a lot of people who knew I was master gardener asking me how to get started growing their own gardens. It got kind of almost overwhelming. So I decided to do a beginner gardener series on YouTube, just everything you kind of needed to know to get started. And that was originally going to be it. I didn't have any plans of continuing.
So that's where you started, was YouTube then? Okay, because I found you through Instagram. So
yeah, YouTube was kind of my OG channel for sure. But I also created a separate Facebook page at that time, just because I'm like, some of my friends have to be so tired of seeing pictures of my plants on my regular feeds. Created a separate page, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And here I am, 4 years later, still doing it.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, and I've interviewed a lot of people where that was kind of the situation. They just kind of got started in the whole, COVID time, and when, people were really kind of digging into and wanting to learn more about gardening. It just seemed like a lot of people just jumped on the gardening thing right at that moment. And I've heard a lot of people who, got on, and now they're, like I said, they've got really good followings on their, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or all that sort of stuff. Everybody in the kind of the gardening creator sphere just really kind of blew up during that time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I think it's partly it was something people were concerned about. There were so many
yeah,
unknowns. We didn't know what
right.
was going to happen or how serious it was going to be. But also, I think it
Yeah.
just people were at home and they needed something they
Hmm.
could do at home.
Yeah. Yeah, and me, I was, during that time though too. That's when I was like literally, I pulled back myself from everything I was doing
Mhm.
and started dealing with my own personal and working on things and that sort of stuff. And I pulled back from it at that time, and I always just wished I was like, why did you? That was like the worst timing ever, was to not do it at that moment, because during that whole time, like I said, I'm watching everybody get all this growth and everything through that time and everything is, but it's great. I don't mind. Ultimately, we're in a good place now, versus then. So but it's just all about timing when it comes down to it.
Mhm. Definitely.
Right on. So here's the thing. What is it about gardening the most that you enjoy the most? What, even inspired you, really to go on this gardening adventure?
Well, I've always been really drawn to science just in general. I love any kind of science, but definitely horticulture, health sciences, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it speaks my language, but there's just something so magical, I guess, about planting this tiny seed and it just grows into this huge plant that gives you
Oh yeah.
food.
Mm-hmm.
It gives back. It's a hobby that gives back. I just, for my mental health and just even my physical
Yeah.
health, I love being outside. I love getting my hands in the dirt. It's very, some years it's not as rewarding as others for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm always learning something. I'm always improving, and and I would say just the gardening community in general is just such a great
Yeah.
community. It's just such a healthy hobby to have. You
It
can't go wrong with
is
it. You
in
really
so
can't.
many ways, and you're
Yeah.
describing so much of really what it is that makes gardening such a passion for so many of us, is all of these benefits that, just even more so than the food for us who grow food, but these health benefits we're getting from being outside, the mental health, all of this stuff that you get from it, and then another thing too, I think really you brought up this really huge important point, which is why, one of the things, right at the top of the show right there, building community through gardening. And it was years ago, as I was getting started with the whole YouTube adventure and everything, I made this conscious decision to kind of switch up all of my social media, all of this sort of stuff, to just be completely gardening. Because as I got involved more with the gardening community, I kind of found, like you said, this great place where people are really positive and supportive. It has its little ins and outs somewhere if
Mm.
you're in some groups here and there, but it's definitely very low key on that sort of stuff. And I found that to be more inspiring. So I switched up everything to be involved with that, so that I just went heavy into the gardening community, because it's what kept me more level-minded than what it is when you've got being bombarded by all this other
I
stuff
know.
that you can get out there, and I try to keep so much distance from it. It still makes its way through, even like in years like we have this year, it's going to be something to kind of keep up with it. But I love the gardening community for that, because it's a supportive community, it's a true community. And yeah, I think that's just really awesome, and it's really great having you out there representing it so well.
I agree. Come to the green side. It's really nice. It's a good
Yes.
community.
Excellent. So let's talk about your garden space real quick. What What's this garden space like? What do what do you grow in?
So I call myself a suburban gardener. I live in a
Okay.
suburban neighborhood. I have an HOA. I have, it's not
All right.
everyone's cup of tea, but that's,
Right.
for family situation, that's
Yeah.
what worked the best. So I
Hmm.
make the best of what I can do. My property is a little less than half an acre. I garden on a lot smaller plot than that. Right now I have 15 or 16, I think, raised beds that this is my main vegetable garden. I do a lot of container gardening on a patio. I also have some in-ground beds that I have a pollinator garden in. I have some berries growing, and I also do a little bit of aeroponic gardening.
Awesome. Awesome. So you got all sorts of nice, cool garden spaces going on.
Yeah.
You said HOA though. Are you limited by some rules? I mean, things you can't do, you wish you could do?
Um, Not as much. I made sure when we moved into the neighborhood that I had some freedom. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's been a lot better. And I feel like I've been able to be a little bit, I hope, of a positive force. Like I post sometimes on our group or our feeds. I'll, like, recently I did a post about Bradford pears and how please stop
Right.
planting these and why. And I got such good feedback from it. A lot of my neighbors now have small gardens. I went from seeing hardly any bees in the neighborhood to seeing a lot now, especially after adding a pollinator garden. I'm going to be doing some posts about that. So I feel like it's starting to spread even in some of these places where you're a little bit more restricted. I'm not super restricted. I can't have livestock. I would love to have some chickens, and I can't have chicken. Although I'm hoping that
Oh,
will change.
yeah, huh?
I'm hoping that'll change one day. But
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, this is what I do. I practice mullet gardening. It's a mullet garden. In the front, it looks real nice. It's got
There you
the formal, and in the back, it's like a party. And so,
there
but
you
I
go.
keep it nice.
I love
I
it.
keep it, I keep it well maintained. So no, I haven't experienced that much limitations.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Yeah, because that's that you hear that from a lot of people. That could be a real horror story for
Mhm.
people who really want to garden and do some things, and they get very limited by what they can do in certain HOAs. So that's great that you get to do a little bit more than others possibly. So that's great. What are some of your biggest gardening challenges in your garden? What is-
Um, I would say mine is probably what is most people's biggest challenge, and it's pests. I feel like for
yeah.
me, technically I'm suburban, but I'm right skirting the line of very rural, and I'm in Indiana, so we have a lot of farms. And I feel like the pests here have just adapted. They know what they're doing. And so I get quite a bit of pest issues. I control them organically. And I still get, I don't, it's weird. I don't get issues with squirrels. I know a lot of people, even in urban environments. So it's knock on wood.
Right.
I say that now, and
Yeah.
I will. Um, not as many deer, but rabbits are huge.
Yeah.
Speaking of challenges, spring gardens are kind of hit or miss for me because our springs are really unpredictable. And
Yeah.
I was hoping this year would be a good one. I grew these beautiful broccoli and cauliflower seedlings, and I came out and they just gone.
Oh,
The
oh
one
my.
time I didn't cover them. So pests are probably the biggest issue for me. Like
Yeah.
most garden, not terrible, but I mean, I can still successfully garden. And then also unpredictable springs and falls. Sometimes we have
Mhm.
about 3 weeks of that nice spring and fall weather, and it goes straight from blazing hot
Yeah.
to freezing cold. So
Yeah, or the opposite, freezing cold to blazing
yeah,
hot. That's kind of like I was describing here just a few minutes ago, is that, and that, like I said, unpredictable. Last year was cold. I mean, there was literally freezes. There were freeze warnings that were even past my last frost date. So, there was just a lot of unpredictability about what to do at that point. And then here we are this year with the complete opposite, where I could have planted actually a few weeks ago.
yeah.
I really could have planted things out a few weeks ago, but because I'm holding off to the end, and it's just this time it's completely opposite.
That one
We,
time you decide to do it, you'll get a
yeah,
freeze. Yeah.
That's again too. That's a challenge, man. That for I think for a lot of people in a lot of places, especially at this, kind of current time, the way climate's so different
Mhm.
for everybody in different places, and so that makes it really kind of a challenge to garden and to really kind of key things in, to know when you should do things and stuff. It makes it kind of a
Yeah.
little bit more difficult, but
I think for spring, it's spring and fall things, like those cool
yeah,
season
yeah,
crops are just I never know if they're gonna do well. Summer stuff, I have a
yeah,
really long summer growing season. Those
yeah, yeah.
tomatoes and things like that usually do fine, but it's those like peas, broccoli, cauliflower. I just never quite know if I'm gonna have enough time to really get them growing well before the weather changes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's just the thing about gardening though, is that it could be really unpredictable on those levels. But in this case, really what it comes down to it, and I have to tell myself this too, is that the only real reason that it's kind of frustrating for me in a sense how that happens is because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
I just want to get these things out there. I just want to get things going. So it's like, when can I do it? When can I
Yeah.
do it? And if I just went with the, regular calendars and kind of follow along with things, I probably wouldn't be so, uh, in a hurry. Just do it when it should be done.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. What's one of your favorite things to grow?
Probably anything I'm definitely a vegetable gardener at heart.
Yeah.
So anything that kind of grows under the ground is probably my favorite. So onions, carrots, potatoes, garlic. Those are probably my top
Hmm.
4. I
There
love
you
that
go.
like surprise of pulling things out of the ground.
That's right. That's right. And kind of the unpredictability too, I
Mhm.
suppose, as well. You just you never know. Like I do container potatoes, or
Mhm.
have done them. I haven't done them actually a couple seasons, but I've done many seasons of these container potatoes, and they're very unpredictable. But it's you get these big beautiful plants up on top there, and then hardly anything like pops out when it comes down to it. Or sometimes really ratty and not so good looking plants, but then you open the harvest, it's just amazing and you got pounds of them, so it's great. Right on, right on. What's one of your least favorite things to grow?
Um, Probably cauliflower and broccoli. Just I love to eat them. It's just they're a lot of work to start indoors, and then I just never know. I wouldn't say they're my least favorite to grow. They're just probably the most difficult for me to grow. Cauliflower, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts are a big one. They just I it's just I it's usually nothing on my end. It's just weather related and whether they're going to do well or not. So those are probably my most difficult things to grow. I really don't have anything that I dislike growing. It's just I have things that are difficult to grow.
Yeah, just difficult to grow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a lot of the case. I mean, there's some things I really, don't care for too much, but then there's one of the things that I tell people all the time is that there's things I grow out in my garden that I don't eat. I don't even care for. I don't like to eat. I grow them so I can give them away to people who do, and I just get the opportunity to grow the plants,
Yeah.
like eggplants. I love growing eggplants.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. I'm growing them for the first time this year
Oh yeah,
because I'm not a huge fan of eggplant, but I have people that are trying to help me find some way to eat them that I will like, but I've never grown them before because I don't like them. So I'm trying.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's so many cool ones, just like with like peppers. I love growing peppers because you can have so many cool pods and shapes of pods, colors. The plants, grow in different ways. So they're kind of I love those kind of challenges in the pepper growing. But with eggplant, these got these big, cool leaves. You gotta watch out; they get spiky, and so the spikes are kind of cool, and you can get some different
Yeah.
coloring.
I
Especially
I
in the
have grown
darker
yes.
ones.
I have grown ornamental eggplants. I guess I should say I haven't ever grown it.
Yeah,
I've done ornamental eggplant. I've just
yeah,
never
yeah,
done yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, they can be brutal. Those are harsh plants to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
with.
but they're
Yeah.
just cool
Yeah.
looking and I like them. So I got to make sure I have eggplant growing in the garden. So that and like okra too. Okra is another one, a great grower.
Mhm.
Love growing okra, but I give that away as well too. Right
Definitely.
on. Right on. Well, real quick, one more time, tell us just a little bit more about your channel, where everybody can find you, and you got any like future projects or anything like that going on?
Sure. So you can find me on From Dream to Seed. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Pinterest. And my channel mainly focuses on helping beginner gardeners. I kind of also show what I do as a master gardener. I talk about pollinator gardens, and I try to show a little bit of everything. So in-ground, raised bed, aeroponic, and container gardening. And as far as projects, our next big project is going to be doing a small kind of or mini like home orchard. I don't really have any fruit trees growing right now. I have like berries growing, but I live in a neighborhood, so we have that nice neighborhood soil. And so it takes me a little bit to get soil prepped to plant in ground. So right this year, the plan is to start prepping that soil to plant a mini home orchard. It'll probably take me about a year to get it prepped.
Excellent, excellent. That sounds like a really awesome project. I just look forward to doing some things too like that. I would love to have like a cool orchard like that and be able to plant them. But I'm building slowly one through like these containers. I'm doing container trees and all of that. So eventually we'll have something really cool kind of set up and everything. But that's a great project. And definitely everybody check down in the description below too. We have got a link to Jessica's I believe it's your Instagram. I think we maybe even have both. I'm not sure, that and the YouTube, but go check Jessica out and follow along with her and all of her fun gardening adventures. And thanks again for being here with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Awesome. Happy gardening.
Happy gardening.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
The answer to this week's trivia question is D. Founder crops are some of the oldest cultivated plants in the world. They consist of crops like wheat, barley, lentils, peas, and flax. These crops were cultivated at least 10,000 years ago. Corn is also an ancient variety, but it wasn't cultivated until about 8,000 to 9,000 years ago. Thanks for watching. Head on over to Sarah's Seed Shop, where you can find garden seeds at unbeatable prices. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, all right. So did you get that trivia question right? I think she did a great job with that question there this week. When I first received that, I tried to answer it myself, and then I listened to the answer video after that, and I had it wrong myself. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, corn is not one of the founders crops, and so I learned a little bit more from that there too. I'm gonna have to actually, after the show, go and research those just a little bit more. That's awesome. So let's see here, we got some more folks joining with us here on the show too. We saw Big Will Dog here in the show too as well. He's my gardening straight up bumps against my HOA. I'm in Indianapolis too. Yeah, that's one of the things we were talking about there in that interview. HOAs. Yeah, I heard so much about that. I'm so glad myself I don't have that. The one difference though too is I did have more rules just up until about a year ago when they sold my place to a new owner who is actually my neighbor, my next door neighbor right now. And he's really great. He's up for doing all sorts of stuff now. So I was restricted what I could do. I had to maintain, similar to what Jessica was talking about there, the mullet garden in a way. I had to kind of maintain the front, make it look like a neighborhood yard, and mow everything and have the roses trimmed and everything looking nice for everybody, which was great. I don't mind doing that sort of thing either. It's really kind of fun as well too, in a sense, just yard maintenance in a way. But this next year, or going into this next year, we're going to be working on actually putting garden beds out there now. So we're going to have garden beds out in the front yard. My new owner's just all game for all of that. We've been talking about setting up and doing that project. I've actually been kind of pricing some things out to get things ready to go here so that we can at least get them in, get some soil going, and really get that starting to develop, for this next season. We really want to get some soil going and some raised beds and just really start building that soil life, give it some time, especially through fall and over winter, and so hopefully we'll just build at least some good soil biology for when we get to the gardening season next season, and be ready to grow at that point. But it's gonna be exciting to be able to do that sort of thing as well too. Is we're going to be getting our rooftop garden back up too. I'm collecting some buckets to get together to reset up our pepper garden. I'll probably put some other things up there as well. I've got some other ideas for some other projects that I can't wait to share with people. We're just kind of like developing and getting things set up and getting ready to get going on a lot of stuff. So there'll be a lot of coverage and a lot of things I'll be showing and talking about, in months to come on all of these sort of great, awesome projects. Let's see here. We also had LP joining with us. Awesome to see you. Rob as well, joining us from Rob's Allotment Gardening in the UK. Thanks for joining with us, Rob. Great to see you here. All right. Let's get down here. We've got Healing Hobbies with us as well. Thanks for joining with us. Saying hello, fellow gardeners. Awesome to have you here. Oh, Rick from Australia also here. Good to see you, Rick. Thanks for joining with us. Hope it's not too early in the morning for you. And Jen Clark, hello from New Mexico. Great to have you here with us. I see you're joining with us, Jen. Actually, I put that like that. I see you're joining with us on Facebook. You might not see everybody else's comments as we're over on YouTube. If you want to join in with everybody else's comments, I'll just let you know this and everybody else is something that I'm trying to work on. I'm not sure exactly. I like to have it on our Facebook page running as well so people can see that, but I've got to get a better way of letting people know that they can join us more for the conversation here on the YouTube channel. There should be a link or some way to get there on the description there in Facebook. So thanks though for joining with us, and it's great to have you here checking out the show. So and then great to see everybody else here. So so really awesome. Great here. We got a returning guest showing up on the show for us today. Really excited to talk to Mike here in just one moment.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right. Excellent. Our featured guest today is Mike VanDuzee from Keep on Growin. Hey, Mike. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Hold on
Awesome.
If you lose me, I haven't live streamed in a while. My mouse isn't working. Everything's like going on and off here. So.
Oh, hopefully we keep you going, but you look good. Sound all right there. So we, no problems.
Okay, just let me know. I've got a little. I'm in the garage, and there's, it's not insulated. I got a little AC going there, so StreamYard kind of filters it out a little. But if it gets too choppy, let me know, and I'll cut it off.
Right on, right on. No problem. We'll let you know for sure. But great to have you back on the show with us again, Mike. Awesome.
Yeah, how have you been?
Doing not too bad. Doing pretty good. Really excited about our growing season this year. So really awesome. How's things growing for you? We know it's you're down in Florida. So, and again, you just mentioned that you have the AC going on there too. So it's probably pretty hot right now, huh?
Yeah. Let me just say, hey, Healing Hobbies and Jen and Jay, Rick, Rob.
Yeah.
Everybody else that's in there. How are you doing? Yeah, it's warm. It rained last night, so it kind of cooled off a little. But we were like close to 100 last week, so not too fun being outside and doing any work or trying to grow stuff, in the direct sun. So
wow.
Hopefully it'll cool down a little bit this week. And we're only in May, so it's going to be a nasty summer probably.
I'm telling you, that's the thing. And I was talking about that earlier on the show is for us. I mean, last year at this time, we were dealing with freezing temperatures. I had a forecast that was telling me that we might even see some freezing and frost after our last frost date that we have for our area. And this year, complete opposite. We had an 88-degree day the other day. It's been mid 80s, low 80s into the forecast now, 10-day forecast that I can see. So it's like planting time, get go time, because it seems summer is now just shown up right in the middle of spring. And, and so at that point, what are you to do? Right. It's
Yeah.
You
So we had a couple of weeks of spring. It's like you're waiting. You get started, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. And again too, what's the summer going to be like if it's already warm like this? Wow. That's what I was just thinking the other day when it was, because it was only supposed to be like low 80s in the forecast that I saw, and by the end of the day it ended up getting up to 88, and I was like, wow. I mean, if it's going to be like this already, what are we going to do? And again, too, for us, though, I guess a real good precursor for us, because I was telling people this, months ago, that just our second day of the year was like 78 degrees. January 2nd for us in Southern Oregon was 78 degrees. That was never unheard of. No, maybe it was 68 degrees, not 78. I think it was 68. I might have given it 10 more degrees, but it broke the record by like 8 degrees.
Wow.
So we're in for a hot one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially you guys down there in Florida, though, man. I can't imagine. It's got to really get scorching anyways.
Yeah, and some of our friends in Texas and that too. They're going to be
Texas.
I think they're going to be real nasty out that way too.
All of the folks down there in that south, right along the whole way there, probably. Yeah. So right on. So how things been going for you? In fact,
pretty good.
How about for people who might not know you or whatever, let's reintroduce you. Let's tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Me, I just do a little bit of hydroponics. Basically off-grid. If you don't know, it's Kratky style. Most of the stuff. There's some pumps if I get some time, but I don't like having wires and cords and pipes and everything going all over the garden. So I try to just keep it simple and just to help people out. It's a beginner's channel, like you said. So and I don't try to get too fancy in that, because I want people to grow food.
Right, exactly. That's one of the things I like. One thing too, though, is I have to say I was just, and I follow along here and there, and I see your, I see your posts that come up all the time, on my feed and everything. But as I was getting ready for the show and everything, I was checking out the page, and you got like over 1 million followers on Facebook, man. That is just amazing.
Oh, Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean,
awesome, man.
There's a couple 100,000 like on TikTok and Instagram too. And it's just, it's any individual. You just have to just keep plugging along and doing all the things and on the different platforms at one time. You never know when something hits and takes off, or they start a new program. What happened with Facebook is they're testing for creators. So they took some creators and the ones that joined and the ones that they were testing with, they're pushing your content out and testing. And that happened to me like years and years ago, back in 2018 or 19, I think.
Yeah.
And they invite you back in and you do that again. And when that happens, your following grows. So, but if you're not doing all the things when it's slow, they won't invite you in because you're not putting any content out or engaging with people. And like I said, and building a community and that. So, even when things aren't going right. And, it's the same thing if you just help 10 people out, it doesn't matter. If you got 1 million followers, 1 million people aren't going to watch, your content the next time. To me, a follower is like a thumbs up. It's like a like, if they follow you, they're just saying, I like your stuff. But,
it's really when you get into the comments and and that interaction and building the community, and those sort of things. And the reason why though you versus, some others and all of that is because you do that work, man. I see you posting things all the time, showing all sorts of just really cool, fun projects that people can do easily, very inexpensively as well too. And some really creative things. And I think that really is eye-catching though too.
Oh, cool. Appreciate it. And let's see, I showed some off-grid hydroponics that you can help grow. Okay, he's just quoting me. And then somebody asked, I think Serena or something asked about the seeds, germinating seeds. And if it gets really hot, we do have trouble germinating. I still have my little room set up. If you saw, it's kind of like a little grow room. It's actually my washroom, and I just stapled up Mylar bags, the emergency blankets. On the wall. They're like $1 a piece. And I was showing people, I always grow outside because it's Florida, but people were asking about indoors. So during the winter, I set up a little grow room, and I have a small house, tiny space. I had a little corner in the washroom. So where you see like it looks like a grow room with the silver walls and that, it's just actually just a corner. And when it gets hot outside, if I can't germinate out there, I'll go in there because it's in the washroom. It's not climate controlled, but it's right off the back door. So, some every time people go in and out, so it doesn't stay as hot. It's about 10 degrees cooler than outside. And we can still germinate stuff in there because if it's 95 degrees outside, it's going to be tough to germinate just about anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's again too, going back to that weather and having to deal with some of those extreme heat. It's good to have kind of a place you can kind of, at least indoors get things going. That's what I got to do for like fall things, because you got to get them started like back in August, to get things really, I get things going like around the beginning of August or so, mid-August. And the weather outside is just way too hot for me to be even trying anything or starting seeds and getting them to be able to make it through that type of heat at that time. So they got to be inside and indoors and getting started at that time so that I can make sure I've got that good, at least got a good jump start on my fall weather stuff.
Yeah. That's why I grow in those like little small containers. You see like the microgreens, because you can do that just about anywhere. I mean, behind a view, you can just clear off a little space, and put a couple up there. So, even if it's in your house where if you think you don't have a spot, you can find a little corner somewhere that you can put a little table or a little shoe rack or anything and throw some microgreens up there. And then we can take those, like I said, and then you get the little cycle going and through the summer, we'll just keep growing, even if it gets hot, as long as you can germinate them. And then we can take them and put them into the hydroponics.
Yeah.
I don't worry about if it's going to be, close to 100, I'm not going to grow everything to full size even with the hydroponics, because it's off grid, it's not circulating. So the water does warm up. And so that's why I just show people how to do it really easy and get the system going where you can have food all the time, but you don't have to, if you're not able to do a traditional garden, but you looked into hydroponics and then you saw all the stuff you have to buy and all the meters and you have to check things and adjust things. And I don't do any of that. And it gets a little tough sometimes because you get people on there arguing with you all the time about, you have to do this, you have to do that.
That is a part of the fun of doing things, and especially having a big following like that. And I'm sure you get a lot of that sort of stuff there. Let's see here. I got a question real quick on answer for John Jude here asked about question. I've planted corn May 3rd. Is that too early? Is I think what he's asking there. It's zone 6A, Ohio. Only a few yet have come up. Corn really wants some warm soil, so that's what I would say might be the issue. If you only had a few of them come up, and some of those ones that might even come up might even be struggling a little bit because of soil temperatures, depending on how warm it's getting, that sort of thing. I always, again, this is one of those ones I always will wait when it comes to, say, like my curcubits, my like cucumbers, squash, the real warm weather stuff, pumpkins, if I'm growing pumpkins, those sort of things. And then corn is one of those things as well. Beans, I just make sure that things are warm enough for them. And those are those sort of things that I just hold off of. I'm so anxious with other plants, as I was mentioning in the last interview, that I have to hold off on some things. And corn is one of those ones. I'll get those started up probably I'll probably get those started up here towards the end of this month, even though I know it's going to be warm. I've got enough on my plate right now to be worried about doing things, but I'll get them started around June, and I'll get some great corn, and that'll be awesome. So I'd just say, give it another shot here, get some more corn seed, and start up again here in the next couple of weeks. That's what my advice would be there, John. Not too late at all. That's a great thing. Corn seed ain't very much either, too. So, or if you can access the kind you want, or if you have enough left over, if you're saving seed, I always make sure I've got enough, just in case. All right, what do you think of that there, huh, Mike? Do you grow corn in Florida?
No, I mean, I've seen some people they do around here and all of that, but it's like I said, it's not. I've got a small space. And when I first started the channel, we were ranch hands, and we were on like a 300-acre farm. And some of my early videos were like on a pond. So some people think, I still live out there. But we moved into the city like 7 years ago, I think. So, it's just a real tiny yard. It's in the middle of the city. I do most of my videos, I'm doing voiceovers because if I film outside, I'm not that far off from a major road, a hospital, a police station, a fire station, an Air Force base, major airport, so everything around.
I had it bad.
Yeah, every 3 seconds, a siren or a car or something's going off. So, we're right in the middle of the city. So just about anyone, can grow things. And I show people that sometimes too, because I get a lot of people asking to come visit my farm. I want to come to your garden and spend the day in your garden. And I'm like, it'll take like 5 minutes. You really don't want to. What I show on my videos, that's it. It's not like I'm hiding stuff or it's like a lot bigger and I can't fit everything into the videos. That's what I'm growing. We're just growing. I want to teach people to grow, what they need. And I know a lot of people out there want to grow, things with more substance and everything. And I'm not like, for everyone, because if you can get out there and grow potatoes, like you grow potatoes and carrots and tomatoes and all that, you really don't need to know how to grow a whole lot of greens and things. But I want to show people who feel like they don't have a yard or they're older and they can't get out there and till and work the garden, or their water bill would be too high. I just started doing some traditional beds. Everything was hydroponics. And last month, compared to last year, my water bill doubled. And that was just putting in just a couple of little beds and having to water them. So as opposed to doing the hydroponics, where you just fill it up and the plants use what they need, you know, you refill a little. Hydroponics uses like only about 1/10 of the water. Yep. And some people out there have a lot of water restrictions, or the water bill's just really high. So, you know, the hydroponics is a way that you can take it, you know, and if you're gonna try and grow potatoes, tomatoes, and everything, I just did a video with buckets where we're putting tomatoes. That's about, you know, you can do it, and I'm showing people how to do that. But really, if you're having a tough time, you can grow greens, and you can do it over and over and over, and week after week after week. And the other things take like months to grow, and that's when any
you're
number
really
of things
looking for food production,
right, can go wrong. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think though too, is that, I mean, you're such a humble person. And I remember this talking to you last time is, which is great. But I think one of the things I think that's great and why so many people follow along with what you do and really appreciate the sort of stuff that you put out there is because, you know, it's really truly small space gardening, and you're showing people that you can grow something pretty much anywhere. You know, that in that sort of sense, in most circumstances. And not only that, the do-it-yourself stuff, the things that are kind of, they're fun projects, you know, they're things that really can show you that you can grow. You know, it's, you know, and that's, you've broken limitations for people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's definitely, you know, what I'm going for. And I just want to show people too, it's because people just see greens and they just think greens, and especially microgreens, that's kind of like probably out where you live, you know, it's like people sprinkle them on stuff, and the chefs wanting to use them in that. But if you can get seeds cheap, like I showed people how to do, get microgreen seeds in bulk. It comes out cheap that way. If you can do that, if I can grow a table full of baby cabbage, you know, what's the difference between that and a head of cabbage?
Right. Exactly.
And if you can do that over and over, plus
you're talking about food production in a small space, microgreens are the way to go.
Yeah. And then if things do go sideways with something, you haven't spent 3 months on it. You know, it was a week of your life or something. And at the same time, you've got other things going. So that's why people ask a lot about like pests. And some people say, you know, why do you grow so much, when they do see when I show in my yard how much we're growing. And it's just that I leave some for the pests. I grow some for them, and it's not.
I totally agree. I do.
I
try to mitigate them the best I can, but I don't let plants that succumb get to me. I let them become feeder plants, and hopefully try to manage in that sort of fashion as well too. Plus also you got to leave something for those other predators and insect predators that you want in your garden as well too. You got to give them some food,
right? Because everything's
trying to kill off all of this stuff, because you want that kind of food circle type thing, you know, the garden life nature circle. You know, you want
going on like way longer than before we were here. And if you go in and you remove, even if it's the pest, and you remove all of them, they were food for something else. And then so those predators won't be coming around as much, because they're going to go where the food is. If you've removed them from your yard totally by putting pesticide, you're killing some of them, but also you're removing the food source. And you break that chain. So, and then that little predator was also food for something else and something else. And so I like seeing things run around.
That's the awesome beauty of nature.
Yeah. So the one good thing about the hydroponics and doing it small and not using a bunch of pumps and hoses and filters, and just having these little containers, is that you can move them. And then if you do have pests get on something, you can pick that one up and move it a little farther, get it out, instead of like cutting that plant. And then I leave those farther out in the garden, and I just leave them, and the bugs can keep on eating. And usually in my experiences, they go after the plants that are having trouble. And if I leave those out there and they'll be on it, they kind of leave a lot of my other stuff alone. And sometimes they do little chop and drops and drop the leaves and that way, the snails and things will, if they
Mm-hmm.
find a couple leaves on the ground, they're probably going to be munching on those before they, work their way up the plant.
Right on. Let's see. I got a question for you here from Cal Chick 7. It says, Mike, I would love to see more recipes with microgreens like you did with that micro cabbage slaw you made. You made some micro cabbage slaw, huh? I guess that wasn't really a question. Nice comment there, but you made some.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Tell us about that cabbage slaw.
But that's the thing. I like the microgreens. They're small, they're tender. By growing your own stuff like that too, and even if you have a traditional garden and you're growing big plants, but especially with microgreens, because you can grow so many different things in small spaces, you can try different things. And like I had the red cabbage, and people are like thinking you just sprinkle it on. That's what you kind of got to break through that thing where people think it's just a garnish.
Yeah.
And it's cabbage, so you can take it and cut the microgreens, and it's not like you're having to take a head of cabbage and cut it up and chop it up, and then it's real rough and chewy and crunchy. You have these little tender leaves that have cabbage taste, and all you have to do is just cut them, mix your whatever slaw dressing you want, and use a little mayo, a little sugar, a little vinegar. You can buy some dressing and just mix it up, or anything that you use cabbage for. You can use microgreens, and then you can throw in broccoli with it. If you want a little kick, you can grab a little arugula or a couple pieces of radish and sprinkle them in too. So I think the tough part was, like I said, the cost. And when people, because I did the same thing when I first started, I wanted to try it, but back then they didn't have like microgreen seeds in bulk too many places. And I'd go up to the store, and you'd buy seed packets, and then you think the way they taught everyone was 10, 20 trays.
Right.
That's a lot of seed packets in there, and you're going, 20, 30, 40 bucks or something worth of seed. And then something goes wrong with that, you're not going to be doing it very often.
That's right.
But right now, a pound, I'm getting like a pound of pak choy or a pound of kale or a pound of the cabbage and that for like less than 20 bucks.
Where are you getting these from?
There's most I get True Leaf Market, and then this other guy, Greener Harvest Seeds. I just got some in from him. I'm going to be trying those out, and he's on Facebook, but he's on Instagram too. He's Bagel Finagle, but he started a microgreen business, and you need to have him on. He's a real hard worker. It might be tough, but see, I thought because he started microgreen business, and then he's got a course and he's teaching people how they can start, because I think he started with less than 5,000 and built a little shed, and then all the stuff that you need to start with it, and then it's all the legwork and calling and trying to bring samples to people and everything. But so this guy hustles, and I thought that's what he did for a living, but he works on an oil rig.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So he's gone for like months. So he's got people working and keeping up with the orders and doing all of that. And he's still making calls and now, with the internet, keeping up with things.
Yeah.
But, so dude's like working, going out to sea and then coming back and still running a microgreen business,
That's
and then
great.
doing all the social media too. He's on like TikTok and Instagram and all that too. So, and then he's got a seed company. So he sells seed too. Yeah. So,
and that's good. It's good to have a good source for, like you're saying, getting bulk amounts of seeds for microgreens. Because I'm telling you, I grow microgreens during the winter time. It's I'm getting so much food and things coming from my garden during the rest of the season. I do a lot of microgreen growing during the winter time when I don't have as much growing on. And it's a good way, like I said, for small spaces, indoor spaces, for you to have and produce a good amount of food for yourself. And you can use them for all sorts of stuff like you were describing there. Big Will Dog jumped in there asking, do you prefer in-ground or hydroponics for plants that both are both an option?
Well, to me, what I'm showing,
both are an option. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's I do mostly hydroponics because that's like the easy thing. And that's what I'm on a mission, and I want to teach as many people out there to, how to grow food as possible. There's a myriad of people, traditional gardeners that, have channels that are showing people how to grow tomato, how to grow blueberry, how to grow, there's no lack of information out there.
Yeah.
Hydroponics, there's a lot of people out there too, aquaponics, aeroponics and everything, but there wasn't, when I got into the crack key system, there were some people doing that, but going back to, I had a conversation with somebody on, somebody made a comment and it sounded a little, it's getting a little smart, but you can't really tell, like me and you, we can see each other, but if we couldn't see each other and just our icons were up there, you really can't, the context is kind of lost. And so it was just nice. But they were saying they were homeless and they didn't mean it. And they were living on someone's couch and eating out of a dumpster and stuff like that.
Oh.
And because I thought I was showing people cheap and easy.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm going to make it as cheap and as easy as I can because everybody else is going the other way. Yeah. And that's the one thing with everything on the internet is that we all want, we're here for a reason. We got to put food on the table. People have to make money. So, if you're doing the McDonald's thing and selling a hamburger for a nickel, you got to sell a bunch of hamburgers where you go for what they call high ticket items and everything. So that lots of people are showing big items and go look at this and go buy this. And here's my affiliate link for this. Yeah. And I got to where I just,
gardening can be really expensive.
Yeah.
And that's really how you view it though, too. And I think that's another thing, like you said, you're showing people really inexpensive ways. That's kind of what I try to do as well with what I do. Our wicking buckets, the earth buckets that we show on our channel. I mean, these can be made for like 75 cents a piece. Go find any container out there, that's going to give you 5 gallons worth of space to, to grow in for under $1, and that does so much for you too. The wicks the water, gets you through those hot seasons, all that sort of stuff. So those are the sort of things I like to show people and all of that. We don't really need all of the all these crazy amendments and things like that to our soils and all of that too. I like to show people. This year I started producing my own worm castings, so that I can produce my own liquid fertilizer. That way I can fertilize my gardens for next to nothing, So literally when it comes down to it, once I've developed my soil, built my soil through my own compost I'm using, through plant scraps and leaf mulch and all these sort of things that I get right here, creating kind of a regenerative system almost, it costs almost next to nothing, and to actually grow things for yourself. The biggest cost ultimately then becomes seeds, and that just depends on varieties and where you want to you get them from and all that sort of stuff. So once you really get down to figuring some things out, and I encourage new gardeners to to take that kind of mindset too, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot more too when you see that it isn't, like you're saying, all these big ticket items in the garden that we need to buy in order to grow. I think that's just really important. I don't want that to be something that discourages people from getting started and getting growing.
Right. And that's just, a starting point. But I saw your video with the worms and that, and if you really think like that, helps other people and you can learn, you need to put videos out like more.
I got to keep doing. I know my video production definitely got to get back on top.
Your potato buckets or whatever.
Oh yeah. I got some containers too for the ones that I've been growing out of for like, I grew out of those for like, I think 8-9 years. I was growing out of those, and they broke down. Because plastic will in the sun. You probably know this really well in Florida, but I got new containers, so I'm all excited about doing like new potato containers and doing some more of this stuff as we get growing into these, through the rest of the season into next season. Especially the worm stuff too, I think is really important. That's something I'm really surprised that it took me so long to get involved in and do. But now that I'm going to be pushing this on all of my viewers all the time. Get yourself a worm farm started, start producing some of your own worm castings, I mean, it's just really, and that's for us though too, who are growing in the ground. I don't know what's really going to be doing too well in a hydroponic system. So we're feeding those kind of gardens just a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. One thing somebody just asked about growing root vegetables in the hydroponics, and there's somebody else in the chat, Healing Hobbies. Go look at her channel. Just click on her name and her channel, and she grows all kinds of root vegetables, and it's cracky. Some people get a little misconception when I say cracky hydroponics. They think it's just taking and putting it, like I dangle the roots down in the nutrient solution. Dr. Cracky also does sub-irrigated, where he does use soil and puts like ginger and stuff in and runs water underneath, sometimes with a float, and grows all kinds of stuff like that. But this is the thing too. We've got a little herb garden, and there's like 20 different things growing in it right now. And that's what I said, our water bill went up. We put a couple of things out there. Is this people have to stop thinking either or. And it's always like everybody always wants to put everyone in a box and thinks this is all you do. That there's options out there, and it can be and you can do a traditional garden and maybe start with microgreens and stick some in the hydroponics and then grow corn if you want, and that you can do a little bit of both. And this thing, the people are always, coming up and, what's best and what's this and that. And I'm like, I'm trying to be the world's dumbest gardener. And I don't know best anything. I do what works, and I show what works for me. And I've always been, I should have named my channel something like Rebel Gardening or something, or I'm not, it's when people say you can't do something, it just makes me want to do it. So lots of the things that I'm out there doing is not just because out of like, I envy all the people. Like I see all the people you have on, like week after week, and all these people come on and they're really into gardening, and they love getting their hands in there. And I'm not really that big of a gardener, to tell the truth. It's like a small percentage of my life, and I don't wake up thinking I want to get out there in my garden. I'm like, damn, I got some stuff to do, and it's I just grow stuff. I want to grow some of my own food, know where it comes from. Also, I grow things that I can't get at a grocery store. And to me, being like partly like a chef and a cook and everything, and just being able to get stuff like the baby cabbage, microgreens and stuff, there's no baby cabbage out there. If I want cabbage, I have to go buy a head of cabbage. I can't go get that. Sometimes they don't have baby kale, but I can have baby kale just like all over the place whenever I want. It's getting more expensive than that too. But there's a lot of things like I grow, and I'm like, I like a homegrown tomato once in a while, but if I can put my resources to growing things that I usually don't get or I can't get anywhere, I can go up and go buy an heirloom tomato from the local farmer's market or whatever, I'll do that and save my space and grow things that no one will have anywhere. That's why some people see like so much like little radish microgreens. Those are one of the easiest things to grow. They're spicy. They have a lot of flavor, but they're nowhere in the store. You can't go in and ask for it, so, they're not just sitting around anywhere, but it takes about 5 or 6 days to grow, so
it's real easy to do.
Yeah. You can get different things. And, so it's like having a variety. And like amaranth, there's no amaranth anywhere. If I went in a grocery store and asked for amaranth, I'd get the grain, that they mix up like porridge. There's no plants anywhere, but you can go and grow your own plant. You can grow them into, greens and Aurelia or
there's so many too. And this is something I learned from my friend Mark Boucher Colbert, comes on our channel and does a segment for us on our Sunday show. He grows lots of microgreens. He's, doing all that. And it wasn't until I met him that I really realized there's so many things you can do and grow that are microgreens you wouldn't think normally. Like I think of like radishes or broccolis or cabbage green, microgreens, pea shoots. That's what I generally think of or thought of until I learned that you can do like nasturtium and different types of things, that are just have these crazy flavors that are just so that, adds so much to like food and things that you're eating that you wouldn't even think of, and you can't get in places like you're talking about. You can't go to the store and get these sort of things.
Right. Right.
All right, let's see here. Cal Chica is asking, Mike, question: how much worm castings could you put in one of those dishes you grow in mixed in water? You grow in the dishes?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
haven't.
that?
I
I
just
don't know.
use the
That would,
hydroponic nutrients right now.
yeah,
Every
yeah.
time I test, anything that's organic, because it's not flowing and it's not aerated, it's
Yeah.
just your water's just sitting still. Most of the organic stuff will go bad like really fast. Right now, I've got a horde of fruit flies. I got a thing of pak choi I'm trying with organic, and people are always asking me to try the product,
Yeah.
and I don't take like stuff for free.
Right.
And I'm like, well, tell me which product is, and I go online and I find it and I order it and I'll try it out. And if it works, I'll let people know. And if not, there's no. I did one. If you notice on my channel, I don't have like a bunch of sponsored videos or reviewing products and all of that. And I did one like years and years ago, and I want to sign contracts and everything. And when I did, it was something about you can't say anything bad, or something. And I'm like, but so I'm going to give my honest opinion about something. And it was something I got done doing it. I did their video, put it up, and I never even sent them an invoice.
Right.
Because I just didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So that's why, I do a lot of other things. There's a whole lot of things you can do and everything. But yeah, Rick, affiliates, I do some of that, but that just goes back to, do you want to really help people? And you have to increase your reach. Like you can help people, you can go out on the street corner and with all your stuff and teach 5-10 people that come by every day that are going to stop and listen to you. Or if you did the right things and things catch on, and all of a sudden you've got 400,000 people listening to you. Yeah. And then those 400,000 tell, their friends and everything, so all of the social platforms nowadays, if you drive traffic off of them, like if we're on Facebook and I say go to YouTube, or we're on YouTube and I say go to Instagram, or I say go to TikTok, every time you drive traffic somewhere else, it sends a bad signal. When too many people get to leaving, once you start getting bigger and you put up a link and like a bunch of people leave to go somewhere else, your traffic dies like there. And then it might stop future things. So you got to think, if you want to keep driving them to affiliate links somewhere, and some platforms don't even like that. They'll just kill your post and everything, because they can tell what an affiliate link is or a regular link and that. So I do a little bit, and people want to support the channel, so they're always asking too. They'll be emailing, if they message me and ask me for an affiliate link, I can give them one. And, it's in the messenger. You don't have that, and I appreciate people trying to help. But it's if your focus all the time is on revenue, how do I do this? How do I do that to get a dime here and to get 40 cents here and to get 50 cents here, instead of focus on what can I do to help people? When I do this, is it going to drive a lot of sales for this product? So, or is it going to really
believe in? You got to really believe in things too if you're going to attach yourself to things. As people see, we've got Ivy Organics, which is our affiliate, our sponsor for the show, and all of that. And you have to believe in something, and you have to have if you're affiliate, again, too, coming back to the idea that, again, you want to help people. You want to show people that things are inexpensive and not that expensive to do, So a lot of things, I've dabbled in some affiliates with other types of things and companies that didn't work out well. And the company wasn't easy to work with. So, that can be a problem sometimes too. So with Ivy, this is a company that believes in what we do, supports what we do, has supported me since the beginning of my channel and all of that too. It's a product I truly believe in. I think whitewashing for people who grow trees, especially, there's whitewash you can use for your other plants and stuff too. If you are looking for some solutions to some pest issues, which I did have a question about here too. I would want to, or I saw earlier by someone talking about how to deal with aphids and things, but that's a good one too. And I believe in the product. You know what I mean? So that's one way I would go, and one of the very few that I've found. I mean, like you said, I get asked all the time by certain things, and it's just I wouldn't promote that because I wouldn't use that, I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't think that would be helpful for someone who's just trying to do something like on a budget even, as again too, we don't like to try to do a lot of stuff on the budget. So you got to, there's a lot of things that go into making a decision to connect yourself with a company, a product, and have that sort of stuff. And I totally understand that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, cool. And I wasn't dissing on like affiliates and everything too, and people who do like sponsored, posts and everything and videos, and it's just not me.
Yeah. Right on. Let's see here. I had a question, and Serena was asking to me, but maybe you can jump on this question because I might not know. Can I still plant amaranth seed in Zone 7A, Oklahoma, or is it too late? Have you grown amaranth before? I know you mentioned it.
Yeah, see, but that's why it's kind of tough just asking me because I'm doing hydroponics.
Yeah.
And the microgreens and stuff, and I grow them all year round.
Never before though in any other garden situation.
No, I
don't really myself. I don't.
Here's what I do is I take some, and it's just like all my stuff that I grow because a microgreen. I did a little video one time saying there's no such thing as microgreen. And it's just, somebody just came up with that fancy term, and it's just one more little stage, the next stage after sprout. You have a sprout, then it's a microgreen, true leaves and blah, blah, blah. But so most of the plants, microgreens are going to grow into regular plant. And the only problem you might have is that when seed producers, if they grow a crop, and you want the best plant, right? So you give the seed, you don't want, sending seed out and everybody growing crappy little plants.
Yeah.
So things have different characteristics. But some plants might start off good and boom, be a great little sprout. And they're like, this is going to be good. But then when that plant starts, all of them, in general, get a little bigger. They're not that good. Yeah. So you don't want to use, so those seeds would have usually been trashed. And they would try to save seed for big plants. Now with microgreens, if it grows, all we're looking for is 7 to 10 days. And if you can grow a hardy microgreen, it doesn't matter if it gets to be a big plant. So some of those might be put into the microgreen category, sold as that. So not everything that you get as a microgreen is going to grow into a huge plant. It depends on the producer and what characteristics they were trying to save for. So most of them will. And at least to the baby green stage. So like amaranth, we grow it all the time because it adds a little color. It's a little earthy flavor, kind of like beets and that. So we'll just sprout it, and we'll take those and you can eat some microgreens, sprinkle them on your food and that. But then you can always take some of them and move them into bigger containers, and they'll grow a little bigger. So if it's too hot, we'll actually grow them, about that big, harvest the leaves and everything. And they might bolt really quickly. You have little tiny, flower, little buds on the, instead of a big one like an amaranth plant.
Yeah.
But they seed really easy. You take those and you just shake them, and it's little tiny seeds come out everywhere. And we'll take those from the microgreens and stick them in the ground around all over. That way, if some grow, they grow. If not, if they seed, they drop seed, and it's kind of like permaculture. It just sprouts another little plant that drops seed. So at any time, and it's here in Florida, so if it's not too hot, we rarely get too cold. I don't think we even had one day. I think one day we went down to 25 this year, and that was it. Everything else was above freezing. So if it's not too hot out here, we're growing all the time. So we'll stick plants in the ground. I throw seeds everywhere, even where we walk. That way they're sprouting up and squashing them, basil, and bok choy, everything, clover, so that's all just part of the thing. Like if you're talking about like the soil, like some people think I've got hydroponics. We don't have any soil stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it was nothing but sand out here. So we're slowly rebuilding it. I got some of the grays on there. I threw some straw, and I didn't know what that was at first, and kind of wrecked half of the yard. But so we're slowly, trying to build stuff back up, and we got one area where our herb garden, I showed a picture to everyone, who's seen that, and we're just, tickled about that because all we did was plant a couple things in there. I don't fertilize it. There's no fertilizer, like what you're talking about. No fertilizer. It's not hydroponics. It's not really compost. It's just building the soil and building it in layers and just letting it go. And Mother Nature's showing you, everything we do is against nature. Whether we think we're gardeners and we're the stewards of nature and this and that, but basically all of the gardening we're doing is against nature. Mother Nature doesn't grow monocultures, or she doesn't plant rows of lettuce and compost. Nature, it just falls. Mother Nature doesn't put a certain amount of green and a certain amount of brown and make sure the temperature's right and mix it up and turn it every so often and all of that. So as much as we think we're doing, we're trying to emulate certain steps that we see in nature. But as far as the big picture, we're constantly fighting nature. Like I said, you're killing this kind of pest or getting rid of this. And sometimes it's just fun to put stuff out. I know you can't do this.
There's a true balance that's got to be made between what we're trying to accomplish and what nature actually does, in that sort of sense. In some ways it's a part of the fun of gardening, like hydroponic growing or doing things that are just against the grain of nature in a sense. It's some of the fun of gardening. Sort of like what you're saying is like, someone says you can't do something, you're on the challenge to get it done, and that's the fun of it. But a lot of what really helps us find successes, are how do we find that balance between having fun with the gardening and how nature works to help us get the results we're looking for. Right.
Yep.
Right on.
Part of that challenge was kind of like when I did the natural hydroponics, was just because people just keep asking and keep asking. So I just decided I'm going to go ahead because I had nowhere to point. Like if you were doing it and people would ask if I'm like growing in a plastic bucket, and people asked, and I said, well, go look at the Urban Gardener. He does natural hydroponics. Or go look here, or go look. I'm always saying go look at Healing Hobbies. She does root vegetables, and I don't do any. But I had nowhere to point people. I was looking, and nobody does it like natural. So I said, I'm going to try it, but I know myself, if I still have all my old stuff out there, I'm going to keep falling back on it, because I did it for like years where I'd like try something and it wouldn't work. So I'd like stick my stuff in my downspouts or my plastic garden. So I had to get rid of everything, and that kind of turned off a lot of my crowd. And that's what you got to do, is just believe in what you're doing. That's and right. Not worry about everyone else, because I know that there's a lot of people that will follow me, and I went and just destroyed my stuff, because if I didn't myself, I know I would just fall back into it. And they're like, you didn't have to do that, and you're still, and but I did that, and me and my son, and we worked with wood, metal, glass. We grew things. We started the little self-watering microgreen growers, and we're having lots of fun doing it all. And I keep getting a lot of people asking me about the buckets, and that's why, so I went back to that. But so people are confused, and they're like, so are we plastic free? We're not plastic free, or then you had a little bit of community start following you because you had natural hydroponics, and then all of a sudden you put a bucket thing out, and they're like, that's plastic. And so it's like this constant, everything's this war. We're always taught to draw a line in the sand and to fight and to pick a side. And I'm like, it's you can do either or. You do what you like. And so I did a certain thing And I did that, and we're still working. And I don't want to put a bunch of plastic buckets. I actually like the natural hydroponics, and I'm enjoying it. And I put together a couple buckets so I can show people, explain it, do more videos. But I'm not going to stick them all over my garden now because I enjoy that turn that I took. But 80% of my audience, and I've asked them in polls and that, want the plastic. They don't mind it. They know that, you know, it's food grade, and, you know, so and it's easy to work with. It's easier than, you know, glass and everything. So, you know, I do a little bit of that, but then are you going to turn off that, you know, that new following you just had, and, you know, back and forth. So
and it's trying to find that balance too, and try to explain yourself as much. It's what it's a similar situation I found with the earth buckets. You know, I promoted them in a couple of other places than just my own channel. I've had comments within those videos as well that, you know, were hit on me about the use of plastic. And the biggest thing I can just say is that I believe just as much as anybody else about this, about us as humanity, pulling back from plastic use. I don't think I believe just as much as anyone else who's making those arguments about the use of plastic that we should be using less plastic. Absolutely. But the problem is there's plastic that's being made. It's being made despite us. It will continue to be made. And with my buckets, I go to sandwich shops. I go to supermarkets, and I go get buckets that were already used. They ordered them. They're supplying them, they're doing it, and that chain's going to continue to roll as long as we have an economy doing that thing. And so I basically take a look at is that, you know, we're doing some of those R's that we learned when we were younger, you know, reuse, recycle, you know, and that's the thing, you know, as I go and I reuse these buckets and I put them back to use in my garden, and they get to use. I got buckets out there that have been around for 7 or 8 years, 7 or 8 seasons. All of the plants and food that I've grown out of those buckets, I've given those buckets another life. That they were heading off somewhere. Who knows if it was a landfill? Who knows what kind of situation that, you know, maybe some recycling center or something like that. Who knows? But I'm giving them a different life before they go to that recycling center or that place where they can be maybe made into something else or something. But you know, it's just these things are there, and I think that we can. I think that what you're saying is the perfect thing. I like what you're saying. That and we can do things and continue to you know.
Right, but
You know,
and here's
in
the question.
small spaces, though, it's difficult to kind of get away from some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Really
but this what happened too is, and I wasn't asking my audience, I asked myself, and this is what turned off a lot of people, because people were. I don't hear, like, I've got thick skin. Criticism doesn't bother me, and I don't listen too much to like praising that too, because I'm just an ordinary dude and I'm just growing some food and showing people how to do it. And people are saying, "Oh, you're great. You're saving the landfills and you're saving this and that," and that's what I got to asking myself. And like I said, this isn't like putting everyone down. This is the question that I turned, you know, to myself. I said, okay, I'm using all these takeout containers. I'm using these buckets, and you know, so now it's not going to the landfill, right? But for how long? And even if we do, like you said, 7, 8 years you did. But when we look at the grand scope of things, and if something's going to be sitting around here for 400 years, you know, that they made something that lasts that long. Exactly. And what's 7 years compared to 400 that I kept? I just stalled it. All I did was I delayed the inevitable. I didn't save any landfill. I didn't save this. I didn't do anything myself. All I did was delay it a few years. So that's why I went into looking into natural and stuff, so I can show people, if you want to say, I'm going to draw that line in the sand and I'm not going to use plastic. What do I do? I said, well, here's what you can do. But like you said, and then, but so if it's out there, you know, Firehouse is still going to order pickles. Walmart's still going to order frosting and stuff. So, you know, if you can use it, well, at this moment in time, you know, we can reuse it in that, but we still need to look ahead, because we're not saving anything. We're not, you know, all we're doing is just delaying the inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that sort of sense, like I said, that delaying the inevitable in an inevitable situation, though. you know, that those are going to be produced, and they're going to continue to do that sort of stuff. So in the long run, that is absolutely true.
That's what happened to me was, that I kept telling myself that. So I'm like, and then if you keep thinking like that, that's why we don't never look for the solutions, is because we think we have that little comfort feeling that, well, you know, I'm saving this, or I'm doing my best to do this. So sometimes we have to make the hard choices, and that's why, you know, like I said, I just get rid of my stuff and just, you know, start over. But there's healing hobbies. She answered about the root vegetables. Somebody asked about carrots again. I think it was Serena or something. And so y'all check out her channel if you want, you know, root vegetables and the hydroponics.
Hobbies. Yeah.
These food grade buckets
check that out too after the show for sure. Yeah, right on, man. It's really been awesome to have you back on the show and talk about all these things going on. In fact, actually, there was one more question. I think is a good question. Real quick, we should pop in here that Jay asked just a little bit ago. Mike, could you list what types of food you're able to grow in your simplified hydroponic systems?
Hey, Jay. Yeah, all you have to do is go to any seed company that sells microgreens and click on the microgreens tab. I have this like asking like your favorite kid or whatever. I try everything, and you know, I don't have a favorite. So if you have any question, and then because usually there's something like a tomato, you don't really want to eat a tomato, right? Usually if you can eat it as a bigger plant, you can eat it as a microgreen. But to be safe, if you don't know and you don't Google like each individual one, just go to a reputable dealer, seed wholesaler or retailer, and look under the microgreens, and those are the ones I would go with. I wouldn't just trust just anyone, you know, on the internet, you know, like me. If I just say, hey, you can eat this or this or this, or, you know, I'm apprehensive about telling people to eat sweet potato leaves, and because we can't grow lettuce during the summer, you know, it's just real hot. But sweet potato leaves is like a spinach alternative, and it grows like wild. They use like landscaping, like decoration down here. You know, people actually buy it and just grow all the purple leaves and green leaves. But I'm apprehensive about doing it because somebody out there might go, oh, and eat potato leaves, you know, like Nightshade family, and go, oh, but he told me I could eat potato leaves. So if you're not sure, just don't take anyone's, you know, advice that's just all us yahoos on the internet.
There's so much misinformation. It's so
look it up and go to like somebody who actually sells it, because they won't be selling something that's, you know, going to be out there killing everyone. So that's all I check. And I like to grow just about everything. That's why I like the microgreens, because I'm not sitting here worried about I'm in zone 9B when the zones all changed and everything. Everybody's making videos and freaking out and all of that.
Are there any in particular that you found that really grow well though with what, you know, because I know you use those bucket hydroponics things and all of that. Those are more conducive to other types of plants than microgreens, right?
Yeah, most work, you know, to some extent, like I said, because I'm growing them to baby greens. I'm not trying to grow like a head of broccoli. I'll grow a bunch of broccoli leaves or broccoli raw. Turnips, you know, Healing Hobbies grows, you know, like a turnip. I grow turnip, you know, when they're small turnip leaves, mustard greens, and just about anything works. But like basil, mint, all the ones that you can like cut and root in a glass of water, those would do well in hydroponics, obviously, because they're in the water net. So, Jen said bok choy. That's what I don't grow so much and don't do. Keely's got this condition like histamine intolerance, and there's certain things she can't eat a lot of. Yeah. And we were eating a lot of it, thinking we were being healthy, and it was actually setting off the histamine levels in her body. So I had to change a lot of things, and that's why I got a couple tomato plants out there, but they're yellow tomatoes. Otherwise, I would have spent like I'd have loads. You want to get views, make a bunch of tomato videos. Everybody just asks about tomatoes. And if any of the other gardeners who are out there, you know, go out there and grow a bunch of tomatoes, and, you know, those always do good. but Keely can't eat it. So I would be growing it either like trying to give it to someone else or just for a video. So we don't grow a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
But mostly anything that does good in water, you cut it, all the basil, mint, you know, things that cut like that, you can put it out. We've got mint like just growing wild, and we used to go up to the store and, you know, and buy a little thing for like $5 or whatever. And now you can just put, you know, mint in hydroponics, even the passive one without the pumps and everything, and it just goes crazy.
Right on, right on. Well, thanks for I just see here Rick also saying right here, thank you, Mike, for spending time with Enoch and us, the audience. Really like your content. You're very knowledgeable and helpful. Thanks for the great compliment there, Rick. Awesome. And I say the same thing too, man. I really, again, too, I really enjoy the content that you put out. I have for years. I think, again, too, you continue with a nice, humble message in gardening to be out there helping people. And again, too, really in that sense of, like I mentioned earlier, being able to grow in small spaces and places that you wouldn't, you know what I mean? It would be discouraging to be like, I only have this and I can only do, I couldn't do much. And you'd be surprised about what you can actually do with just a little amount of space. It's something I talk about a lot on our channel, and you really emphasize in the things that you do on your channel and your different social media that you put out there too. So again, too, thanks again so much for joining with us here today and sharing with everybody again.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks. Had fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone out there in the audience.
Yeah, definitely. Again, too, let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything real quick before I let you go. But oh wait, there we go. There we are. Thanks for both of you for the live feed. Yes. Okay. Excellent. And real quick too, everybody, check out down below in the description. You'll find links to find Mike and all of the things that he's got growing on. And again, thanks again for joining us on the show today, Mike.
All right. Cool. Appreciate it. Catch y'all later. Take care, man.
All right. Another great conversation here on the Let's Get Growing show with our good friend Mike VanDuzee from Keep On Growin. And again, like I said, links are down below in the description so that you can find all of his great content and all the things that he does. Lots of fun things that you can do in your garden spaces and play around with and do in these hydroponic things, which I don't have much experience on. I talk to a lot of people who do that. Or like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we did a show last week on our garden roundtable on the Sunday edition with my good friends Kang Starr, Christopher Bransdahl, and they really do a lot of cool kind of cracky hydroponics type of stuff as well too, that I just haven't gotten involved in and haven't tried out too much myself. So I'm gonna have to get in and try some of that stuff as well too. So yeah, just a totally great interview, and I really enjoy talking to Mike. So thanks to him for joining us on the show, and as well too, just want to mention that we have get right here to it actually here have last week's show. Just want to kind of remind everybody too that we had on the show last week Destin Noack, Texas garden guy, on the show, so you can go back and check out that show as well if you haven't had a chance yet. Another fun conversation with another great grower, and we also met Ryan Cook from Heavenly Hills Homestead, and both these guys are veterans and kind of found gardening through some of those experiences as well too. So great conversations with those guys. I encourage you to go back, check those out as well too. Tomorrow for our Sunday edition of the show, yes, we'll be right back here on the Urban Gardener channel at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for our Sunday edition of the show. And it is the second Sunday of the month. So that means we'll have back with us again. It just seems like he was here just not too long ago. Scott Wilson from the Gardener Scott channel will be joining us to answer all of your garden questions. So if you got any questions, you got anything you need to know about things going on in your garden, definitely come back and join with us tomorrow to talk with Gardener Scott all about everything that might be, you know, on your mind as far as what's going on in your garden. I'm sure there's some sort of questions you might have, some burning gardening questions for Gardener Scott. So definitely join with us then too. And then again, I also want to mention also as well too, the third Sunday of the month, next Sunday, we'll be doing our monthly book club. The monthly book club is this month, Simplify Vegetable Gardening, from Tony O'Neill over at the Simplify Gardening channel. And this book is just really awesome, man. It is so full of some really great garden science, soil science, plant science, all these sort of things. And just like the title says, just like his channel's all about, simplifying all of this sort of information for you, so it's easier to understand, and we all love that, you know. So definitely come and check out that as well too. And let's see, and Dusty was mentioning 1 p.m. CST tomorrow. Yes, Central Time, 1 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Time, if that's your time zone as well too. And yeah, definitely come and check out that show. We have just as much fun on the Sunday edition of the show as well too. And then like I said too earlier, the book club is one of the only shows where I have a co-host. Our friend Mark Roche Colbert joins us for the whole show to co-host and help me interview Tony and all of our authors and all of that too. So we also will be doing a book giveaway for our next month's book club book. Is we'll be announcing that on that show as well too. So that's how we end the book club of the month, is we announce the next book club of the month. And we've got a really great book in store for June, so I'm excited about announcing that to all of you. So definitely join with us so you can find out who our June book of the month club is and maybe win a copy of that book too. And I know, Jay, yours should be there any time now. Anytime now. It told me by Friday, but I think it's probably going to be there by Monday. So you should be getting your book as well too from our last book club. So you'll be all ready for our upcoming book club event on the third Sunday of the month too. So oh yes, and actually here, nice and early here, make a nice announcement for Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day weekend to all of the gardening mothers out there. So all of you gardening mothers, happy Mother's Day from us here at the Let's Get Growing show. I'm really kind of excited too. This is my daughter's, and I told her, and we're counting it. It's basically her first Mother's Day, as she's about to have my granddaughter here in just the next few weeks. So we're really excited about that coming up as well too. And so again, happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there too. Really great. Rob says that UK Mother's Day is in March. So they've already had their Mother's Day in March, but for here in the States and other places as well too, this is Mother's Day coming up tomorrow. So be sure to say Happy Mother's Day to all of your moms out there. All right. Oh yes, and definitely, Kalchik, just great reminder here for us too. Sharing this on my channel. Definitely share. I appreciate any sharing any of you guys can do. Please share our show. We have a great show. We have great fun conversations every Sunday, and we need to get this in front of more viewers' eyes. We need to bring more people into our community and check out all of these great and awesome gardeners that we get to talk with. I mean, how lucky are we? I mean, you guys who are watching this show, I'm telling you, I'm lucky. I feel I'm one of the luckiest people getting to do this, getting to meet and talk with and interview all of these really awesome people. And how lucky are we all as a community to have all of these awesome gardeners come and join our show and be a part of all of this that we're doing here on the Let's Get Growing show, on the Urban Gardener channel, and all of that too. So, it's just really, really amazing to to have this here, and so really awesome to have all of you here too. So just really great. So yeah, definitely hit that like button as well if you haven't yet already. Click the subscribe button too, so you can follow along with all of our garden adventures here on the Urban Gardener channel and the Let's Get Growing show. And then, like we said there, share with all your friends. And as I'm also really pushing everybody to do as well too, is comments. If you have the time, if you have the ability, I know you're watching live, but if you could come back to the replay version of the show, drop a comment in there, say that, leave us a review, leave us some sort of a comment, let us know what you got growing on. One of the things I really want to hear from people too, who are some of your favorite garden creators out there? Who are some of your favorite people that you might like to see on the show that we could interview? I would love to get people that you would really like to see. So definitely let us know of some of those really cool people in the gardening community out there that are creating fun gardening content for all of us that we can interview on the show. I'd love to hear about that. So that's a good reason to come back to the replay and leave a comment there. Let us know about who you would like to see on the show. And then real quick, one last plug. One last plug here, ivorganics.com. We mentioned that during the interview there too. They're sponsor of our show. This is a really great way to support our show as well too, is to support our sponsor, IV Organics, at ivorganics.com. They're 3-in-1 plant guard. You can whitewash your fruit trees with it. You can make it into a spray that you can spray down your plants if you're dealing with pests or you want some solutions to a lot of pest problems. That's organic, purely organic. This stuff is not harmful. This is really good stuff. I recommend this highly to everybody. And if you do go to ivorganics.com, use our promo code GROW10, GROW10 in their shop there, and then you'll get 10% off of your purchase there, and that'll help support them and us here on our show. So again, too, really great, and to see you all here. And let's see real quick, I want to make sure we're not forgetting anybody here before we go. Just a really great show today. I mean, really awesome. Willog again saying happy Mother's Day, everybody. Again, awesome. Rick from Australia, thanks there. LP saying congrats on the granddaughter. Yes, I'm so excited. Really excited. It's getting so much closer now. You never know how long 9 months is until you really got to wait 9 months. But yeah, really excited about the granddaughter coming here in just a few weeks. Yeah, so that's awesome. All right, let's see. Oh, and LP was mentioning too, I watched Broke Farmer. I haven't watched. I will check that out as a recommendation. Thank you. I will check that out. Awesome. Well, and like Jay says here, thanks to all of you here for joining with us today. We definitely appreciate every single one of you. Again, don't forget, we're back here tomorrow, Sunday, 11 a.m. for our Sunday edition of the show. And back again for Saturday next week. Next Saturday, we've got a really great show. Next Saturday, oh, you know what? That's one thing I forgot to mention. Let's see here real quick. Next Saturday on the show, I didn't put up a banner. Well, I'll just mention we are doing a interview I did with Joe Lample. I'm really, this is such a great, I've followed this guy for so many years and what he does with his PBS show, Growing a Greener World. And I did an interview with him just a little while back ago. And so I'm going to play that interview for you guys next week on the show, as well as, I'm I can't remember right now, but good reason to join with us for tomorrow. I should have made sure. Oh, it's so bad on me right now. But we'll have a great guest for our Are You Following Me segment. I'll make sure I have all that information for you guys tomorrow on the show. So I'll see you tomorrow or next week. We'll see y'all then.